imagine brave Spartan soldiers. They stand together, shoulder to shoulder. Many enemy soldiers surround them. These are the Persians. The Spartans use their round shields to block swords and spears. Enemy soldiers push forward like a big wave from the sea. Sharp spears fly out from the Spartan line. They hit the enemy soldiers, but there are too many Persians. It is a hard fight. Some Spartans begin to fall down, shields break, spears snap in half. The Spartan king Leonidas leads his 300 soldiers. They move back slowly to a small hill. This is where they will make their last fight. Suddenly, an arrow flies through the air. It hits the great king in the chest. Leonidas falls to the ground. His blood makes the earth wet around him. This famous fight is called the Battle of Thermopylae. History books tell us it was one of the bravest fights ever. We see stories about it in movies and on television. But how much of these stories is true? Movies often change things to make the story more exciting. Not everything you see or read about this battle happened exactly like that. The real story is also very interesting. Some true parts are even more amazing than the movie stories. This is the story of why the battle happened and what the Spartans really did. The big Persian attack on Greece started because of revenge. Xerxes was the powerful ruler of the huge Persian Empire. He remembered a time 10 years before when his father Darius tried to take over Greece. But the Greeks defeated Darius's army in a famous fight called the Battle of Marathon. Darius was king of a very large land. His empire included places like Egypt and parts of India, but he could never beat the small country of Greece. This failure was a big shame for the Persian royal family. Xerxes felt this shame strongly. He was determined to do what his father could not. He wanted to crush the Greeks and add Greece to his giant empire. He would not fail. So, 10 years after his father's defeat at Marathon, Xerxes gathered a giant army. He planned to march into the center of Greece. This time, the strong city of Sparta decided to help fight the Persians. The Spartans were famous warriors. Their fight at Thermopylae would become a legend. It was a battle with terrible fighting and great bravery. People would never forget the story of Leonidas and his 300 Spartans. This book tells their story. 2. Greece needs help. Xerxes started his long march into Greece in the year 480 BCE. He wanted to succeed where his father did not. Xerxes brought a very big army with him. Some people said he had 100,000 soldiers. Others thought it was even more, maybe 300,000 men. This was a huge number of soldiers, much larger than any army Greece had faced before. At this time, Greece was not a single country. It was made up of many different city-states. Important cities like Athens and Sparta were powerful, but they were often busy fighting each other. They argued about land and power. This fighting between Greek cities made it difficult for them to unite against a common enemy. The city of Athens received news about the giant Persian army coming towards them. They remembered fighting Xerxes' father Darius 10 years earlier. They won that battle, but this new army was many times bigger. The people of Athens were very scared. They knew their city could be destroyed. They understood they could not stop Xerxes by themselves. So Athens sent messages to the other Greek city-states. They pleaded for help. They said, "We must join together. A huge army is coming to attack us all. They explained that this Persian force was much stronger than the one they defeated before. They needed everyone to send soldiers to form one large Greek army. It was a surprise when Sparta agreed to help Athens. Sparta was famous for its powerful army and brave soldiers. But usually Sparta stayed out of conflicts far away or fights with Persia. They focused on their own land. Why did Sparta decide to join this time? The Spartan leaders saw that this invasion was different. The danger was too great. Xerxes didn't just want to punish Athens, he wanted to conquer all of Greece. The Spartans realized their own city, their people, and their way of life were in danger too. They decided the Persians must be stopped, no matter the cost. Greek scouts traveled far to watch the Persian army. Allies in the east also sent information. The news they brought back confirmed the stories. Xerxes' army was enormous. The estimates were truly scary, between 100,000 and 300,000 men. This massive force would be very hard to defeat. The Greeks understood what was at stake. This was not just another war. It was a fight for their freedom and their future. If the Persians won, the Greek way of life could end. Ideas like democracy, born in Athens, might disappear forever under Persian rule. They needed to prepare carefully and fight bravely to protect everything they valued. Greece needed help, and it needed it quickly. 3. A place to fight. Sparta knew that Greece needed more time. The different Greek cities had to bring their soldiers together to make one large army. But this needed time. The Persian army was very big and moving quickly. The Spartans decided they must slow down the Persians. This would give the other Greek cities time to get ready and join the fight. Their main plan was not to win a big battle right away, but to stop the Persians for some time. Finding the right place to fight was very important. They needed a place where a small group of soldiers could fight a much bigger army. Scouts went out to look all over Greece. They searched for a place where the huge number of Persian soldiers would not help them much. But there was a problem. Not all Greek cities wanted to fight Persia. Some cities said no when asked for help. Even worse, some Greek cities decided to help the Persians. They thought it was better to join the side they believed would win. This made things hard for Sparta and Athens. But the scouts found a good place. It was a narrow path called Thermopylae. This pass was the main road for the Persian army to go from the north of Greece to the south, where cities like Athens and Sparta were. The scouts told the leaders that this narrow place was perfect for their plan. Thermopylae had big advantages. The path was very narrow. In some parts, maybe only 20 meters across. This meant the big Persian army could not use all its soldiers to attack at once. Only a small number of Persians could fight the Greeks face to face. This helped make the large Persian numbers less important. Thermopylae was also next to the sea. This was good because Athens had many strong ships. The Athenian navy could stay near the coast. They could stop Persian ships from going around the land and attacking the Greek soldiers from the back. This meant the Persians could only attack from the front through the narrow pass. It looked like the best place in Greece to defend. The name Thermopylae means hot gates. It was called this because there were natural hot water springs in the area. These springs had sulfur in them. This made the air smell bad. The hot water also made mist and steam, which covered parts of the ground. It could be difficult to see clearly. The place looked and felt strange. It was not an easy place for a battle, but it was the best chance the Greeks had. They decided this was where they would meet the Persian army. 4. The king goes to war. The large Persian army was getting closer to central Greece. Xerxes moved fast, but the Greeks had a problem. It was the end of summer. This was the time for the important Olympic Games. It was also time for big religious festivals in many Greek cities. Many Greeks were busy with these events. They did not think about the danger from the Persians. Some cities did not believe a big army was really coming. Sparta knew they could not wait for everyone else. The danger was too great. They needed to act fast. Sparta decided to send some soldiers ahead to Thermopylae. They needed to hold the narrow pass. This would give the other Greek cities more time to prepare their armies. Sparta had 2 kings. For this special mission, they chose King Leonidas. Leonidas was a strong leader. Before he left for Thermopylae, the Spartans asked the oracle at Delphi for advice. The oracle was a special priestess who could sometimes see the future. People asked the oracle for help before big decisions, like going to war. The oracle gave the Spartans bad news. The prophecy said one of 2 things would happen. Either the Persian army would destroy the city of Sparta, or one of Sparta's kings must die in the battle. Leonidas heard the prophecy. He was brave and loved Sparta very much. He accepted that he might need to die. He was ready to give his life to save his city. Leonidas needed to choose his soldiers carefully. He picked 300 of Sparta's best warriors. These men were strong and well-trained. Leonidas chose only soldiers who already had sons. This was an important choice. It showed that Leonidas thought the mission was very dangerous. He probably knew that he and his men might not return home. If they died, their sons could continue their family names. Leonidas and his 300 Spartans did not march alone. They needed more soldiers to hold the pass. They asked other Greek cities for help. Some cities agreed to send men. About 7,000 soldiers joined Leonidas. This included 700 men from Thespiae and 400 from Thebes. The Athenian navy would protect the sea, so only a few Athenian soldiers joined the land army. Together, this small Greek force started the long walk to Thermopylae. They needed to reach the hot gates and prepare their defense before Xerxes arrived. 5. The battle starts. Leonidas and his Greek soldiers arrived at Thermopylae late in the summer of 480 BCE. The place was called the Hot Gates. The Greeks arrived a few days before the Persians, giving them time to prepare. The pass was very narrow, with mountains on one side and the sea on the other. Leonidas placed his Spartans and other Greek soldiers to defend this narrow path. Leonidas sent scouts to check the area. They returned with bad news. They found a secret path in the mountains called Anapaea. This path went around the Greek soldiers. If the Persians found it, they could attack the Greeks from behind. This was a serious danger for the small Greek army. Leonidas knew he must guard this path. He chose 1,000 soldiers from Phocis. These Phocian soldiers went to guard the secret mountain path. Their important job was to stop any Persians who tried to use it. Leonidas hoped they could hold this position. Soon, the huge Persian army arrived with King Xerxes. The Persian army was very large, perhaps up to 300,000 men, much bigger than the Greek force. Xerxes saw the small Greek army waiting. He did not attack immediately. He waited for 4 days. Xerxes thought the Greeks would see his giant army and run away in fear, but the Greeks did not run away. The Spartans were brave and planned to fight. After 4 days, Xerxes sent a message asking the Greeks to put down their weapons. Leonidas gave a famous, brave answer showing no fear. He said, "Come and take them." Xerxes was angry with this answer. He decided to fight. Before the attack, Persian scouts watched the Spartans. They reported strange news. The Spartans were exercising. Some were combing their long hair. This was the Spartan way to prepare for battle. It prepared their bodies and minds even for death. Xerxes heard the report. He was ready. On the 5th day after his army arrived, King Xerxes gave the order. He told his soldiers to attack the Greeks waiting in the pass. The waiting was over. The sounds of battle started. The Battle of Thermopylae began. 6. The Spartans fight hard. Xerxes finally ordered his soldiers to attack. He believed his large army could easily win against the small Greek group. First, Xerxes sent soldiers who were not his best fighters. This was a big mistake. These first Persian attacks failed very badly. The Spartans and their allies were ready. Spartans were very well-trained soldiers, maybe the best in the world. Their training helped them. The Greeks fought together in a formation called a phalanx. They stood close together, side by side. In front, they held up their big, heavy shields. This made a strong wall. From behind this shield wall, the Greeks pushed out long spears. The narrow pass was perfect for this fighting style. The large number of Persians was not an advantage here. Persian soldiers used smaller wicker shields. Wicker is like basket material and not strong. Their spears and swords were shorter. In the tight space, Greek equipment was much better. The battle was very hard. Waves of Persian soldiers ran at the Greek line. They crashed against the shield wall again and again like waves hitting rocks. But the Greek line held strong. Sharp Greek spears came out quickly, killing many attackers. Soon the ground was covered with dead and injured Persians. Their blood soaked the earth. Many Persian soldiers became scared seeing their friends die. Some turned and ran. Xerxes saw this and tried something else. He ordered his archers to shoot arrows. Thousands of arrows flew, but most hit the strong Greek shields or armor. The arrows did little harm. This fighting continued for 2 full days. Leonidas and his army fought bravely. They killed a huge number of Persians. Some say they killed about 10,000 enemy soldiers in these 2 days. The Greeks lost some men too, but their line was still strong. Xerxes watched from his golden chair on a hill. He sent his best soldiers, his special guard called the Immortals. They were called Immortals because if one fell, another quickly took his place, so their number seemed the same. They were Xerxes' strongest fighters, but even the Immortals could not break the Greek phalanx. They attacked, but the Greeks pushed them back. Xerxes grew very angry watching his best soldiers fail. He jumped from his seat and shouted. For 2 days, the small Greek force stopped the giant Persian army. 7. The secret path. The Greeks fought very well for 2 long days. They stopped the huge Persian army in the narrow pass. Leonidas and his soldiers killed many enemies, maybe 10,000 Persians. Even Xerxes' best soldiers, the famous Immortals, could not break the Greek line. Xerxes watched the battle from his golden chair on a nearby hill. He became very angry and frustrated because his big army could not defeat the small Greek force. Then, Xerxes received help from an unexpected person. A local Greek man went to see the Persian king. His name was Ephialtes, and he knew the mountains well. Ephialtes wanted a reward, maybe a lot of money. For this reward, he told Xerxes about a secret path. This path, called Anapaea, went through the mountains and ended behind the place where the Greeks were fighting. Ephialtes betrayed his own people. Xerxes was very pleased with this information. Finally, he had a plan to attack the brave Greeks from the front and the back. He ordered his best soldiers, the Immortals, to follow Ephialtes along the secret mountain path. They moved under the cover of night, walking quietly through the darkness so the Greeks would not hear or see them coming. Leonidas knew there was a path. He had placed 1,000 soldiers from Phocis there to guard it carefully. But the Immortals moved quickly and surprised the Phocian guards in the early morning. Some old stories say the Phocians fought for a short time, but other stories say they were very scared and just ran away into the mountains. The Immortals easily took control of the path. Now the Persians could surround Leonidas and his men. Soon, a messenger brought terrible news to Leonidas. He learned that Ephialtes showed the Persians the secret path and that the Immortals were coming from behind. The situation was now hopeless. The Greeks were trapped between two enemy forces. Leonidas made a very important and difficult decision. He knew they could not win the battle now. He told most of the allied Greek soldiers to leave Thermopylae immediately. He wanted them to escape and return home safely. They could fight the Persians another day and help protect Greece. It was important to save as many Greek lives as possible. But Leonidas decided he must stay. His 300 Spartans would stay with him. They were Spartans, and Spartans never surrendered. They would fight until the very end. About 700 brave soldiers from the city of Thespiae also chose to stay and fight beside the Spartans. 400 soldiers from Thebes were also there. Some accounts say they were forced to stay, while others say some stayed willingly. Leonidas knew he would die, just as the oracle at Delphi predicted. This was his duty to Sparta. On the morning of the third day, the remaining Greeks knew they were surrounded. Leonidas gathered his loyal soldiers. They were ready to die for Sparta and for Greece. Leonidas looked at his men and said famous words, "Eat a good breakfast, men. Tonight we will eat in Hades." Hades was the underworld, the place Greeks believed people went after death. They prepared for their last desperate battle. 8. The final stand and legacy. On the third day of the battle, the Spartans and their friends were surrounded. The Persian army was in front of them and behind them. Leonidas knew this was the end. He told his men to eat a big breakfast because they would die that day. The Spartans prepared for their last fight. They fought with amazing courage. They knew they would not survive, but they wanted to kill as many Persians as possible. They attacked the Persians with great energy. They used their long spears first. When their spears broke, they took out their short swords. They continued fighting hard, cutting through the enemy soldiers. It was a terrible fight with lots of blood, but there were too many Persians. Soon, the Spartans lost their swords too. Many Spartans were hurt or dead. King Leonidas, who was between 50 and 60 years old, fell during the fighting. His men saw their king die. They fought very hard to get his body back from the Persians. They pulled his body away. The few Spartans still alive moved back to a small hill. They lost their weapons, so they fought with their bare hands and teeth. The Persian soldiers were afraid to get too close to the angry Spartans, even without weapons. They saw how bravely the Spartans fought. So the Persians stood back and shot arrows at the last defenders. Arrows rained down on the small group until every Spartan and Thespian was dead. After the battle, Xerxes was angry about losing so many soldiers. He ordered his men to find Leonidas's body. He told them to cut off the king's head and put the body on a stake. This was a very bad way to treat a dead king. Later, after the Persians left, other Greeks came. They found the bodies of the brave soldiers and buried them together at Thermopylae. Many years later, they built a stone lion monument there to remember Leonidas and his men. A writer named Simonides wrote famous words for the monument. The words said that the Spartans died there, following their orders. One Spartan named Aristodemus did not die. He was sick and went home. But in Sparta, people treated him badly because he did not die with his king. He felt great shame. The next year, he fought in another battle against the Persians at Plataea. He fought like a crazy person to show his bravery and died fighting hard. The battle at Thermopylae was a defeat for the Greeks, but it was also important. It slowed down the Persians for a few days. More importantly, the story of the 300 Spartans inspired all of Greece. People heard about their courage and wanted to fight the Persians too. This helped the Greeks work together. Later, the Greeks won big battles at sea Salamis and on land Plataea. These victories finally pushed the Persians out of Greece. The sacrifice of Leonidas and his men helped make this possible. About 40 years after the battle, the bones of King Leonidas were brought back to Sparta and buried there. The story of the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae is still remembered today as a great example of courage against very difficult odds. What part of the Spartans' story inspires you the most?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.